So cool. All right, taking a trip to Las Vegas has just become easier for those living on the First Coast.
That's right. Frontier Airlines has launched non-stop service to Sin City and at a very affordable price. This is awesome. Danielle Reeves is a Las Vegas brand ambassador, and Tyra Squires is a spokesperson with Visit Las Vegas. How you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
You guys work for Vegas. Of course, that's a great gig, right?
Not too bad.
No, and I'm with Frontier Airlines, and so we're excited to launch the only nonstop service to Las Vegas from Jacksonville.
Nice.
Now, so this just got kicked off yesterday, so give us some details about what people need to know. Easy.
Last night was our first flight, yeah, so it's really easy to book. You can go to our website at flyfrontier.com or download the app. We have fares right now, you're not going to believe this, as low as $50 or even less to go to Las Vegas. So go to our website, check it out, and sign up for our emails to get deals in the future. Las Vegas is one of 13 cities that we now fly to nonstop from Jacksonville, and we're really excited to serve this community.
It is exciting to see that, and I've lived here 22 years, and to see an airline, and we're seeing more and more airlines and more flights added to Jacksonville. But talk a little bit about why Frontier, you know, they launched, I think it was a month ago, like 6 new ones. You already had some, and you launched like 6 whole new ones.
Yeah, so we had 7 routes that we started in the last year, and then in the last, just this week, we're starting 6 new routes. We have 13 different destinations to choose from. And, you know, we looked at Jacksonville. There's a big opportunity. This is a growing and vibrant community. Lots of people are moving here. They need to stay connected with friends and family and go on vacation to exciting places like Las Vegas. And the fares are just really high here, so we're really here to lower the cost of flying and make it affordable for everybody.
That's great. Danielle, you really don't have to sell me on Vegas, because it's fun. But talk a little bit about it, maybe some things that people would be surprised and things that they can do.
I mean, Vegas is ever-changing. It's always reinventing itself. Right now, we have one of the greatest NHL teams in the country.
Made the
we
finals.
made it to the Stanley Cup. How exciting is that?
So great. That's first
year. It really
year,
brought
too.
our city together. We have the WNBA team, the Aces, and we're expecting the Raiders in 2020.
That's
so
right.
our whole city is gearing up for that. We have the best restaurants. We have the greatest shows. I mean, I'm such a fan of Las Vegas, and yeah, we don't have to sell Las Vegas. Everybody wants to come to our city.
It's so much fun.
It is one of the things about Vegas, though, that I haven't been in years, but it's constantly changing. The Strip is constantly changing. New hotels old hotels go down, new hotels going up. For you, how long have you lived there?
I've been there for 10 years.
And one of the things that I think is unique is people who live there, there is more than just the Strip. So
oh, absolutely. We have Red Rock Canyon, Valley of Fire. Mountain Charleston is a ski resort only 20 minutes outside of town. So it's not just the Strip. There's so much more to explore outside of the city. So
now you can do it super cheap.
Love this.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Frontier, for adding more nonstop flights.
Thank you. We're proud to be here.
Appreciate it. Be sure to check out the First Coast News Facebook page this week. There's going to be a giveaway for 2 round-trip tickets to Las Vegas with a hotel stay. Maybe us? I don't think we're
No, we're not
eligible. You can head to Fly Frontier for more information to start planning your next trip.